Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lori and I am so excited to be starting this channel and doing my first of many YouTube videos. I have been trying to do this for a really long time. I have a 2-month-old, my first baby, Caleb, and I've been trying to do a video since I was in my first trimester. So I'm really excited to finally be able to start doing videos and everything that I hope to share on this channel. When I became pregnant, I'm a huge researcher, so I immediately went into research mode. And throughout my pregnancy, that was always what I wanted to share, just resources, products, everything that I learned along the way in my pregnancy journey and experience. But when I had him, my labor experience totally changed what I wanted to share. I still definitely want to share those things that I learned and experienced during pregnancy, but my labor experience recovery became a huge part of what I wanted to share. And then also where I'm at right now, which is in month 2 and 4th trimester. That is what I really wanted to focus on, at least for this first video, because I'm still in it. My son is 2 months, so I have 1 month to go in the 4th trimester, and I've come a long way. It was really tough and I was not prepared. I had no idea that the 4th trimester was as challenging as it is. Everyone always tells you, but detail is definitely what I was not having. I didn't have the details. And I wanted to have him here, but now I see why a lot of people don't have their babies in their videos. He was doing so well, and then he's a little fussy right now, so I'm gonna have to stop for a second. Okay, so I plan to do tons of videos on my pregnancy journey and experience and each trimester, and also my labor experience, which I did the most research in that area, and as everyone always says, it did not go as planned at all. I had a really smooth pregnancy, which was a blessing because I'm 40, and I had no complications, no problems during my pregnancy. But my labor, I had a C-section, which was not expected. I planned to have a natural labor, and then I ended up getting preeclampsia, postpartum, and then severe preeclampsia, which was such a hard recovery with preeclampsia while recovering from a C-section. So I'm definitely going to do a lot of videos on that. But I wanted to start off with talking about the 4th trimester, not just because that's where I'm at right now, but if you ask me about any trimester, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, I would talk more about the 4th. And that is the trimester that I didn't even know existed prior to getting pregnant, and the one that I don't hear enough about. But it is the most important trimester in my opinion. I'm still in it. I'm 2 months postpartum. I have 1 more month to go. 4th trimester is considered the first 3 months after you have your baby. And in my opinion, it starts the second day you have them. So there's so much that I learned from this trimester, the 4th trimester, and I'm still learning every single day. But if there is anything that I would share with someone, I'm gonna talk about that in this video. Just the things that I wish I knew, that I wish I was prepared for, what I learned along the way, and how I was able to survive, which I can say I did. Every day is so much easier, and if you take anything from anything that I share, it is that was the best advice that everyone gave me. It was that it gets easier, just tough it out, get through the first few weeks. They were not lying. It really does get easier. The first few weeks for me were the hardest. I would say the first probably 24 hours home was the absolute hardest, and then the first week was really hard too. But I'm gonna go over that, and I'm gonna do more videos just on the 4th trimester overall, because there's so much that goes into the 4th trimester. There's so much to talk about. Products that I use, I got everything, not everything, but I got a lot of different products that I recommended, and I want to go over the ones that I actually used, the ones that I didn't, and why. I did a lot of research and watched like product review videos, and I got things that some of which I realized I needed after the fact. I didn't get them while I was pregnant. I got them after he was here, and then some things I had and I didn't use, and then some things I had and I had to get a couple of. So I'm gonna do more videos on that as well. So this will probably be a few parts, and then I'm gonna continue to do videos just on my pregnancy experience and journey, and also labor and delivery, because that was something that preeclampsia experience and being 40 is something that so many people experience. So I really want to talk about that, because that's what led me to want to even change the direction of what I talked about. When I was in the hospital, when I was about to get checked out from having the severe preeclampsia that I had, it just didn't seem right for me to do a video in the hospital about like what I packed in my hospital bag, which was what I was originally going to do, because I packed so much, and I'm going to do that type of video. But it just didn't seem right to do that type of video after I literally almost lost my life. So This video, I'm not going to go into so much detail about the preeclampsia just because that is a whole conversation in itself. I'm just going to tear my necklace. But I am going to do a lot of videos, so please like, subscribe, comment below, and stay tuned for more and more videos. All of them will not have him, and like I said before, I understand why people don't have their babies in their videos. But this one is going to be focused on the 4th trimester. I have a few things that I want to go over. I have to pause for a second to calm him once again. Okay, so I was able to get him to sit for a minute in one of the mini products that I love, and I will share. It is a Fisher-Price dome that you can have outside. So yeah, I'm going to do a whole video on products and things like that. But as far as the 4th trimester, like I said before, it starts after you have your baby. So the first 3 months after you have your baby is considered to be the 4th trimester. It's where you're postpartum and where you're recovering, getting to know your baby, adjusting. Everybody always tells you that first month or 2 home from the baby with the baby is hard, but the details that I wish people went into, I don't know if it's that people just don't want to remember or what, but I was not prepared. And I'm a huge researcher. I researched everything during pregnancy for what to expect while pregnant and postpartum, but it was broad. So I focused on topics like, of course, how to breastfeed, because I wanted to breastfeed, infant care, things like that, what to expect every month. But I'm not gonna lie, I did not focus a lot on some of the things that happened during 4th trimester, like just the emotional side, the hormonal side, things like baby blues. I didn't really focus on myself, to be honest with you. I did focus on recovery in terms of if I had a C-section, vaginal labor. I got all the Frida products for preparing when I got home for my body and recovering from labor, but I didn't really prepare for what I was gonna go through, what my fiance was gonna go through. So those are some of the things I wanna talk about, because again, you might not even know there was a 4th trimester. I didn't. So I wanna really focus on that because I probably watched every YouTube video there is related to pregnancy, and there just wasn't a lot on the 4th trimester. So that is why I am so passionate about it, because I'm still in it. I survived. But if you ask me about pregnancy, that is going to be what I'm going to focus on. My pregnancy was pretty smooth. So not to say it's because it was smooth I'm not going to talk about it, because even a smooth pregnancy is hard. But that 4th trimester is what really did us in. So the 4th trimester for me started the second that we had my son. Not just because it literally starts at that second, but because that's when everything got real. And obviously it would, but in ways I wouldn't have imagined. So first and foremost, I had a C-section. I'm gonna have to do a whole video on that because that's such a different topic and conversation. But what I never anticipated when I did all of the research about having a C-section is the fact that you're still caring for your baby while you're having to recover, which means that your baby probably is going to come first before even your own recovery. So trying to be good for yourself is hard because you have a newborn that's hours old and you're trying to learn how to get them to latch, and you're picking them up. Any type of weight when you had a C-section is hard. So those things I didn't really think about, and it's a lot harder than it sounds when you're in the hospital because you're on medication and you're sore. And for me, it was such a struggle just to get up and go to the bathroom, let alone take care of my son. I was exhausted, and you're taking care of your baby round the clock. So that was something I just wasn't prepared for. My biggest piece of advice is whether you have a vaginal labor or you have a C-section, whatever type of experience you have labor-wise, whether you're at home, in a hospital, just know that asking for support and help should not start once you are, let's say, a few days postpartum. Have it immediately ready for you. If I could do anything over again, I would make sure that we had support in the hospital from family, someone there that was going to be there for the sole purpose of just helping us out. We were really fortunate to have amazing hospital staff. We had amazing doctors, nurses, our lactation consultants. Everyone was so amazing. I mean, everybody was helpful. I mean, even the lactation consultant, I remember one of them changing his diaper. You know, they all stepped in and they helped out. But it would have been nice just to have a family member that was there, even staying the night. My fiance was there, but it was the two of us. And he was just as tired as I was because he was going through everything with me. So it would have been nice to have a third person there. Because of COVID, I'm in Chicago. I had my baby at University of Chicago. We weren't able to have more than one additional visitor. So even that one person, if it couldn't be overnight, just having someone else there that could have taken our son when we were trying to eat, or maybe brought us food, or just had him for a little bit for us to sleep, it would have really helped. And the reason is because once you check out the hospital, there is no break in sight. You're still at it with the newborn that you are trying to learn and is trying to learn you. We thought it was a good idea for us to wait to have my fiance's mom come until we were a few days home from the hospital, because we didn't want to get so reliant on having help that we were afraid to be left alone with our son. So we didn't want to like leave the hospital and have all this help from the hospital and then have her there, and then when she leaves be like, oh my God, who's supposed to help us? That was the biggest mistake we ever could have made. We were so ready for her to come when she finally did come a few days after we were checked out from the hospital. And whole other video, I actually was readmitted after I got released from my C-section because I had postpartum preeclampsia. After I had my son, was released for 24 hours and then was readmitted because it turned to severe postpartum preeclampsia. So I was readmitted for an additional 4 days. So that's why that's a whole other video, and I don't want to get off topic and talk about that. But say all that to say, have support when you are at the hospital that will carry on till you're home, at least for the first week and a half, 2 weeks minimum. If you're like me, my mom unfortunately passed away 2 years ago. My family live in Atlanta. Like I said before, I'm here in Chicago. So we have my fiance's family here. So, you know, I have friends here, but if you can enlist the help of everyone that is open to helping, do so in whatever format you can. It takes a village, so whatever people can do, whether it's dropping off food. My friends, they got me an Uber gift card for me and my fiance, which was amazing. My son is 2 months and we just used it all. So, you know, things like that are huge helps. If, you know, sometimes people aren't used to babies, that's fine. Maybe they can come over and pick up for you, clean for you, give you a break where, you know, if they are comfortable with babies, they're taking the baby for a moment so you can shower to your comfort. You know, you might not want people around the baby, but whatever people can offer in terms of support, take it. Don't be like us where you think that you can do it even for a few days, because every minute counts, and the more sleep you don't get, the harder it is just to feel like yourself and even think. I had a hard time with just even making decisions because I was so tired. So things that I know I had researched and prepared for, I couldn't even remember because I was so just spent mentally on medication, healing, that I couldn't really remember any of the things that I researched. So having support will just help with everything, just getting your mind clear, having that clarity. So please, if you do anything, make sure to have support from the second you are holding your baby. Make sure you have someone that is coming to the hospital to help you guys out. So the first week home overall is really challenging and it's really tough. The biggest thing for me was my fiance and I repeated multiple times throughout the day, our baby is new here. Our baby is new here. Because it was hard. We have an easy baby. We realized that our first day with him. He is like just the sweetest and he's really easy. And not to say any baby is like difficult, they're babies. So babies cry, our baby cries. You know, that's something a baby is gonna do. That's how they communicate. But for the most part, the reason we said he was really easy is because he from day one had really obvious cues. In our hospital, they had pictures up of all the cues to look out for, and he was really obvious with them. When he did cry, it was for a reason. He cried because he was hungry, or he cried because he wanted to be picked up. So that's why we said he was easy, because once we figured out what it was wrong with him, we were able to get him to stop crying. Some babies, they just continue to cry. That's a video I'm going to do like on just that type of thing, because that ties into not just fourth trimester, but even baby blues. But the biggest thing that we just kept reminding ourselves of is that our baby is new here, and also that his only way of communicating is through crying, because it can be so overwhelming, especially in the hospital, because the nurses, they are pros. They see hundreds of babies, and so they're picking them up no problem, like just swaddling them no problem, and you're trying to figure out just how to do anything for them. In my case, I'm a first-time mom, so that's how I felt, at least, and my fiance. So it felt really frustrating for me when my baby is crying and I'm trying to get comfortable with him, and nurses are coming in to check to see if everything's okay, and I felt flustered. Don't, because that's how babies communicate. They're going to cry. Sometimes they're going to cry just for the sake of crying. So we just kind of had to remind ourselves of that, because when you're sleep deprived, when you're tired and the baby is crying and you can't figure out what's wrong with them, it could feel really overwhelming. But that's how they communicate, and the good thing is that babies do come with cues. Every baby is different, so taking the time to learn your baby's cue is going to be so important. They stress that at the hospital. I took tons of classes while I was pregnant, and I'm going to talk about that in other videos. But they also stressed cues. And I did like learn about different cues, like when they're hungry, usually their fists are closed. If they're overtired, you know, they're going to be yawning, they might stare off. When you're tired yourself, I didn't always remember to even look for the cues, and they were always there waiting for me. Now that I'm 2 months postpartum, I can pick them up so much easier. So if I can go back and do anything differently, it would be from day one, just try my best to really pay attention to cues, or at least in my head, just remember cues. That simple. Because again, it's hard to try to remember what the cues are when you're tired or sleep deprived. But if you can just even remember the word cues, that at least lets you remember you don't have to feel overwhelmed and flustered if your baby is crying. There's a reason they're crying, and then you can backtrack and go, okay, let me try to look at them and try to figure out what's going on here. Because they are going to try to tell you. Outside of crying, there's other communicative skills that they have through cues that they're going to try to show you, so then that way you know what's going on. And that's huge and such a help. The older they get, the more you're going to get used to them and their cues, and you're going to find that you're going to sleep better, they're going to sleep better, you're going to get ahead of things, you'll be able to get them fed before they start crying, because you're going to notice what they're doing when they're hungry. So just paying attention to their cues might not sound like a big deal, but that is a really huge help. It's going to go a long way for you. Okay, I got baby Caleb to be calm. And I don't even think I said his name. I have to do like a whole intro video, just giving a little bit more about me and my baby Caleb. But like I said, I have been trying so hard to do a video that I'm just trying to jump into this one while I have the opportunity. But like I was saying, as far as sleep, my fiance and I knew we weren't going to get a lot of sleep. We weren't naive to think that we're just going to be in the hotel, like the hospital, like it was a hotel, relaxing and sleeping the whole time. But the lack of sleep that everybody talks about, you don't really understand until you're in it. It's literally no sleep. Like, we thought we were gonna get a little bit of sleep. No, there's no sleep. And you're recovering from having a whole baby, and you're not gonna sleep once they're here. So that was a massive shock to us. And the big difference is, we've all probably, if you haven't had a child, been in a situation where you've gone without sleep. But at some point, you're going to be able to sleep, right? Like, whatever it is going on that keeps you from sleeping, it's going to end, and you're going to be able to get sleep. That doesn't happen when you have a newborn, because they need care 24 hours. So that was honestly the biggest shock for us, and why I said have support from the second you have your baby, because there's no end in sight, and your sleep deprivation only gets worse because you're getting less sleep. And we had amazing hospital staff. We had so much help in the hospital. We had one nurse that when she had to do some checks for him, it was real late at night, like let's say like maybe 10, 11 at night that she had to do them. And she ended up keeping him for, she said she was gonna keep him for an hour after she did the checks, and she ended up keeping him for like an hour and a half. I'm not gonna lie, I was so tired, sleep deprived. I was like, wait, she did work for the hospital, right? Like, did my baby get kidnapped? Because she was with him longer than she said she was gonna be. But she did that so we can get a little bit more sleep. And oh my God, we got, I think, an hour and a half when she did that, and it was amazing. But the lack of sleep that you get, starting from being in the hospital, it is no joke. And it goes on through that first week or two. Speaking of no sleep, that's why he's fussy, because he's not going to sleep. He does not want to go to sleep. Gonna have to stop this again. Okay, I was finally able to get him to go to sleep, which I am so grateful to say is something that I am finally experiencing again. Last night I got 7 hours of sleep, which is amazing. We had a really tough first, I'd say, month of no sleep deprivation. Everybody always says you're not going to sleep, but to go through it is something that I don't know how I survived that. If you've ever traveled internationally, just imagine jet lag times 100. And when you're jet lagged, it's because you're traveling and there's a time that you're going to return back from your trip and you're going to come home and you're going to rest. That doesn't happen when you have a baby. It's just nonstop, 24 hours, no end in sight, jet lag. And that part, it mentally messes with you. It physically messes with you because you're sleep deprived. I dropped so much stuff. Just trying to just function is so hard. But you do get through it. It gets better. That's the biggest thing that people kept telling me. It gets better. You're going to sleep again. They're right. You do get sleep again. My baby's only 2 months, and we still have a long way to go. As they get older, they sleep for longer spans of time. But if I was like, let's say, a few weeks postpartum, and somebody had told me by 2 months you're going to get a 7-hour night of sleep, I would have been like, okay, I can do this. So I'm gonna do separate videos on how we were able to even get that type of sleep and his sleep regimen, his sleep schedule, all that stuff. I don't want to do that in this video because it'll be way too long. But the biggest piece of advice I would give in the 4th trimester is introducing good sleep habits from the time they are born, when you are in the hospital. That is something that I did, and I am so grateful that I did it. It made such a huge difference, and there are really easy things that you can do that are safe also. So of course consult with your pediatrician, but you know, just introducing very safe sleep habits from the beginning is going to really make a big difference and impact on your baby and how you're able to get them to continue that as they get older. So like I said, I'm going to do a whole video on what I did, but there's really basic things that you're going to probably do in the hospital. Swaddling your baby. When we go to the doctor for him, they constantly ask us, are you swaddling? Are you swaddling? So swaddling is really important. For one, your baby is trying to replicate what they felt in the womb. They're now out in the world, they're new to the world, and they want that feeling of being in the womb where everything was tight and warm. So swaddling is so important. Sometimes it just gives them that comfort that helps ease them, and they're able to get back to sleep easier. And then also they have startle reflexes. My son wakes himself up all the time when he just kind of jerks himself, so that does prevent them from jerking themselves. So although it seems like something that it's small, swaddling is huge. It makes such a big difference in their sleep. So if you start swaddling from when they're born, the hospital usually will teach you how. Just, you know, starting that off. I'm going to do videos on products and reviewing swaddles because we've used so many different types. So I'll do separate videos just on that. But swaddling is huge. Also, babies don't understand day and night. So little things that you can do. And again, I'm not going to go into too much detail because safe sleep is so important. So I don't want to say anything that's incorrect. But just little things, because babies don't understand day to night. So when you're at home, creating that so that way they do understand. So trying to keep it as light as possible during the day, keeping your windows open so that it is light during the day, and then closing your windows at night so then it's dark makes a big difference. We try to be as quiet as possible at night, but then during the day we are not at all. My fiance, when he was on paternity leave, we had Stephen A. Smith, ESPN on in the background. That is the best thing to have on. If your baby can sleep through Stephen A. Smith, let me tell you, they're not going to wake from anything. So he doesn't wake up from like loud noises, which is amazing, especially with it being the summer. You have lawnmowers going off and, you know, all of that. So we used to live, I'm in Chicago. We used to live in Chicago, and we're in the suburbs now, so it's a lot quieter. So if you're in an area where it's quiet, you definitely want to keep the house noisy, because if we're in the city, it would do it for us. But now that we're in the suburbs, it's important for us to kind of create that in the house because it is so much quieter out here. But those are just little things that you can do that make such a big difference. And I'll do videos on more that you can do also. But just creating those sleep habits early. Another thing that you can do is paying attention, again, cues. Paying attention to their cues. If you can try to see the cues that your baby has that lets you know that they're tired, that can save you from when they're overtired and they're crying, because it takes them so much longer to get to sleep. And then also just feeding on demand. If you're planning on breastfeeding, is so important. My son was from the beginning feeding on demand. I did that from day one, and it really helped out because he does feed a lot. Some babies don't feed as much as others. Not to say they're going long stretches, but some babies, they just feed, like let's say in the beginning, every hour, or they may cluster feed a lot more than other babies. My son, I paid attention to his cues, if his hands were clenched, things like that. So it allowed me to feed him, so then that way he wasn't going to sleep hungry, because then he's going to get up right away because, yeah, he went to sleep, but he's hungry. So those little things, just incorporating those really good sleep habits early, it's helpful for you to create those patterns. It's helpful to, as you start adding on more sleep habits, have those basics out the way. So that helps for the future of you just like having better sleep for both of you. So it does get better. Tough it out. Stick it out, I should say. Don't tough it out, because I didn't. Like I'm going to do videos on baby blues, everything, because it was rough. But sticking it out is what I should more so say, because everybody kept telling me that. Just make it through the first 2 weeks. Make it through the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, it was still hard. So I was just like, okay, we're here. You guys told me first 2 weeks. Nothing's changed. I would say for me, it's 2 months. 2 months is where I'm finally seeing the silver lining. It did get better after the first 2 weeks, but nowhere near where it is now 2 months out. So just taking things one day at a time, I think, is a really good recommendation also, because you're gonna have setbacks. We would have days where I would get ahead of myself and I'd be like, oh my God, he's sleeping so great, and then he starts cluster feeding again. But it seems like things are more consistent now that he's 2 months. But I would say probably really did mean a lot to start sleep habits that we did, and that I'll do videos on, because there's a lot that I'll go over with that, and I don't want to take up too much more time with this one going over that, because I can go on and on and on about that. Hey, my son just woke from a nap, but that is just the first of a few videos that I wanted to do on the 4th trimester, just a few of the huge things that helped me through the 4th trimester, and what I would share with someone that is pregnant and may not even know there is such a thing as a 4th trimester. I'm really excited about this channel. This is my first of many videos, so bear with me. I know that I have a fussy baby here. I am really excited about getting out more videos. I'm gonna talk about more on my experience as a new mom, a first-time mom, the fact that I'm 40 as a mom. That is a whole topic and conversation, because there's not a lot of us on YouTube talking about being 40 and new moms. Oh, Pumpkin, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm trying to wrap up, and I have to take a moment again to try to, is he gonna let me? Okay. Try to get this out really fast. But yeah, I have like a lot of videos that I hope to do on my preeclampsia experience. I'm also engaged, so planning a wedding. Just so many videos that I'm looking forward to doing. So please like and subscribe. Comment below if there's anything that you're looking forward to and your experience on the 4th trimester also. My name again is Lori, and I look forward to more videos in the future. And more videos of my sweet babies and so far. Bye.